So I'm in Minecraft today, and I thought it would be really cute to build that floating convenience store that I've been seeing on social media that I think is in Lake Ontario. I'm in a completely new world yet again. I just can't help but start over. And this is the Flow SMP Vanilla Fork. So I have a ton of new opportunities to build new blocks, definitely compared to the other Create server that we have. And I have a decent idea of what I'm going to do. This is a pretty small build, so let's start by gathering some materials first. I think this plains biome is one of my favorite, and it's on this lake that will pretty much perfectly have that convenience store in the middle. I think I need to start a mine as one of the first things I do. This is Minecraft after all. I haven't started over by myself in quite a while, so this is weirdly a foreign feeling to me. I think a lot of times when I start playing Minecraft, it's typically with friends. I think I exclusively play on servers for the most part, as honestly, playing by yourself is a little bit boring. It kind of sucks and it's very lonely feeling, but I do need to set up some space and hopefully people will join me later on. I'm gonna build out a little mining room over here and let's go a little bit deeper. If you don't know, I am playing vanilla, but more specifically, I have a suite of client-side mods that I play with. One of those is Better Adventures Plus. I've obviously added some of my own little tricks to this mod pack to make it more of my mod pack. So I have the suite of Rapidums Reforged. I don't have the block textures, but I do have pretty much all the item resprites. So if you're seeing me hold a pickaxe that looks a little bit different, that's definitely the reason why. Also, for some reason, I think fresh animations made the animals absolutely tweaked out. And some of them just look really creepy. I swear it's not like a horror extension for some reason. They're just like that. I don't know. I may as well make everything in this area pretty though, so let's frame out this mine entrance and hopefully it'll make this area a little less boring. Yeah, see what I mean by freaked out? Yeah, but I do also want to preface this furthermore by saying I'm a little bit sick. I don't really know why. I do want to say I move again. I have moved twice already, but I move in 6 days, which is a little bit terrifying. There's a lot of different changes going on in my life, so my videos are a bit staggered about, and I try to maintain an upload schedule of every 10 to 14 days, and I don't think I've failed on any of that really in the recent 2 months, but things are gonna get a little chaotic in my life. I'm gonna dig down a bit here. I'm a little bit scared of this area. There's a massive cave. So let's frame this area out. I'm gonna add some storage down here. I don't want my chest to be blown up by some creeper, and I think the upper area is more gonna be for miscellaneous stuff right now, but I think I need to work on the upper area. Hoot and Deck gave me some bamboo when I visited them a while back, so I'm going to frame the area out a little bit more, and I think as I play on this server more, I'm going to develop my own separate style of what I end up building here. I don't actually have a solid idea of what I'm going to do with this place. I think I've reached the point where I'm just a tad bit burnt out from Minecraft, and I almost don't want to build anything, but I definitely don't want to build anything complicated. I know in my last video, I was very adamant on building something small and picturesque, and I'm going with the same thing for this video, and I'm pretty sure all of this world. I just want to enjoy the game again and give myself a break from all the strong urban architecture.
Segundo y nada más hacia la felicidad, como una luz fugaz, un instante que se va, que se va. Trato siempre de pensar en la hora quiero estar. La vida es lo que se da. Es un instante que se va.
So while I start building off this space for the convenience store, I've had a lot going on in my life lately. I have queued up a lot of videos because of this, but just recently I was at Michigan for a Formula SAE competition. If you don't know what Formula SAE is, which I presume most people don't know, it's this engineering competition where students from universities build Formula-style race cars, and there are two different competitions. There's internal combustion and electric vehicle, and I went to the electric vehicle one with my university. This year's competition was very bittersweet, if I do say so. I went through a lot of different experiences this year, especially because of that team, and it got me thinking a little bit about what it means when it comes to communication and just life in general. So let's turn this into a brief little talk. So while I was at the competition in Michigan, I do want to say that our team does pretty well. Last year, we did very, very good at the competition, and we did go pretty far for at least that being my first year of experience at the competition. We passed all of the technical inspections, which the technical inspections are basically making sure that your car is safe to run on a track around other people. They do stuff like checking your vehicle's electrical battery and making sure your car mechanically is safe, it doesn't fail in the rain, there's nothing going to fall off the car, and that your car will actually brake itself in time. And we passed all of those, honestly, with ease. We passed them all in one day, and if you know anything about this competition, it is so incredibly rare for a team to be able to pass all of the technical inspections in one day. But we did, and we made it on to the dynamic events, which is all the racing related parts of this, formula competition. Despite the fact that we made it on, we failed on a really stupid error. We spent pretty much most of competition recoding the car. and making sure that the code we ran to the car's battery was so that it could run at the fastest speed or like the most optimal speed and power percentage. We just made a series of really dumb mistakes, and it essentially caused us to not be able to go as far in the competition as we wanted to. I know this is a lot of preface, but hear me out for the rest of my story. Essentially, what I think caused us to fail was that we had like a really stupid mistake made in a really fast-paced manner, and it was just something that left the whole entire team very disappointed because we knew we could have done better, and we knew that it was kind of all of our responsibilities as we were all really stressed out that day. Nevertheless, I think after we got news that our car wouldn't be able to go as far as we had hoped so, we were all really disappointed, and honestly, the team was kind of at each other's throats. The air was very tense, and people were really annoyed with each other. It wasn't inherently a fun experience to be around, and maybe not the world's best first competition experience. I remember going back home and being so worked up over it. This year, honestly, we did even worse than last year. We didn't make it through all of the technical inspections, and yet again, due to a dumb mistake caused by trying to go too fast. Trying to go too fast through the technical inspections, not even in the car itself. And it caused us to, make a dumb mistake that caused our car to have to not run for the rest of competition. Despite that, though, our whole team was very, I wouldn't say positive about the situation. We're all disappointed, but I think we were all a little bit more content with the situation at hand. Not that any of us were happy, but I think we all managed to remain positive despite the relatively bad means to an end that came to. It was also my senior year of that college. I know I'm going to grad school, but I'm going to a completely different university. And having that be my last comp experience somehow was not that disappointing. I think being able to see the team communicate better and overall through the competition, use the walkie-talkies better and be able to ask for stuff in, albeit not an amazing manner, but a better manner than we used to, was kind of nice to see. It's like I could leave the team and be confident that we would go somewhere in the next year. I think in my head, this kind of connects to relationships. And I know this is going to sound like it's from left field, but I see a lot of people online talk about relationships, specifically complain about their partner in some capacity about something small and objectively nitpicky that is really easily fixable. I've been in a relationship for 2 years, almost 2.5 years, and honestly, my partner and I really don't argue about anything. I think part of that is that we're able to communicate so well, and almost anything that we quote argue about, which if I'm gonna be honest, the last time we argued was like, I thought Interstellar was a really bad movie and that was it. But we are able to talk things through in a way that I don't see people online talking things through as well, or at all, if I'm going to be honest. And I know that's because online you tend to see the worst of people or the best of people, but there are a lot of people online who will complain about their partner and be like, man, I really don't like how they do this, or I wish they did this. It's like, talk about it. I always get so confused. Everyone says communication is key, and the second it comes to communicating, it's like people throw that out the window. And this year at competition, I know obviously that communication is important considering my life experiences, but it's really nice to see it play out so well in action, like the perfect example of how important communication is. And I also used to be an RA for my college, so people would come to me about their roommate complaints and be like, man, I hate how my roommate won't do this or does this. And the first thing I would always tell people was, did you ask them? Did you talk to them about it? Because I think people really underestimate the fact that it seems obvious when you say it out loud that other people can't read your mind, but I think we all tend to forget that in the moment when things are happening. Like, okay, they don't know your side, and it's something that I really think I relearned this past year. I kind of wanted to bring it up again in this talk to maybe remind people about that. I think it's one of those things, like I said, that we learn really young and then perhaps we forget about it through life. I think it's really important to be reminded every once in a while that being a human and seeing the humanity in people and communicating with people is really so truly important to being able to live honestly, contently with yourself. And at least for me, I think that I went through an experience doing the best possible thing that I could do to make everything work out in its power. Now that I've collected a bunch of extra materials, I'm gonna go back and let's spruce up this area a bit. I added a bunch of bamboo and I also added bamboo fences. I think I borrowed that idea from Farce, maybe, but I think that overall this area is lacking a little bit extra. So I'm gonna add some firefly bushes around, and then I think with the extra leaves that I've grabbed, I'm gonna toss in some bushes as well. I don't think this area will turn into a paved city area at any point. I think I'll probably go with a calm village vibe, probably dirt paths, maybe stone paths, but we definitely won't get into a crazy massive city like I've been known to do. But I think that sprucing of the area will help us build around it in the future a bit more. And let's collect some more materials just so we're not losing any time trying to build stuff in the future. I'm also going to spruce up this coastline, as I think this area specifically might be where I tend to build a little bit more. It's a pretty flat area, so I think it serves as a pretty good blank canvas, and I really like the look of waterlogged leaves and mangrove roots, as they just soften up the coastline a little bit more. I think whenever I find cactus, I'll add some green glass panes to the edge there to kind of look like a little bit more greenery is floating around. I'm gonna gather a few more materials and let's get back to building on the actual inconvenience store. I like calling it the inconvenience store because it seems like such an absurd but cool concept to me that someone thought of this. If you haven't heard of this inconvenience store that I'm talking about, on the shoreline of Lake Ontario, which honestly is one of the most recognizable spaces in any city, has been transformed into something kind of surreal. This global convenience store is a full-scale convenience store floating just offshore in Toronto's Harbour Square Park Basin, and it appears at first glance to be an ordinary neighborhood convenience store. It's a very familiar looking storefront with glowing signage and fully stocked shelves, and it kind of evokes this routine of everyday urban life. Yet the building is deliberately inaccessible. It's drifting pretty much just beyond reach and on the water, and challenging the very idea of convenience. The installation was created by Toronto artists Trevor Wheatley and Cosmo Dean in collaboration with design studio Puncture as part of Waterfront Toronto's annual Floating Public Art program. Rather than constructing an abstract sculpture like I think we've seen in years past, the artist chose one of the most universal spaces in modern cities, the convenience store. For many people, these small shops represent far more than a place to buy groceries or snacks. They serve as these neighborhood landmarks, late-night meeting places, and honestly, cultural crossroads where languages, foods, and traditions coexist in a single space. To reinforce that idea, the shelves are filled with products sourced internationally, while the signage borrows visual influences from convenience stores in countries like Japan, Brazil, Turkey, and the US. The experience changes dramatically after sunset too, which honestly is one of my favorite views even in this Minecraft world. It's powered entirely by solar energy, in real life, not in Minecraft, and the storefront illuminates the harbor with the unmistakable glow of the neighborhood corner shop. It's reflected also across the surface of the lake, and the familiar fluorescent light takes on almost a dreamy quality, turning an ordinary symbol of city life into kind of something unexpected. I think this is also a really nice look, especially with the World Cup that's been happening recently. I live in the US, so it's really nice to see a bunch of people from other countries who may not have the best view of America visit our country and see something that they honestly have been enjoying quite a lot lately. Lord knows the Scots have been running Boston dry, and all of the Koreans in Mexico, albeit not part of the US, but enjoying the cultural exchange that's happening there. It's such a heartwarming thing to see, at especially a time where I think the world and the country has been so divided. And it's really nice to be reminded of an American who maybe doesn't agree with the political situation that's currently taking place, that America really is a country built on the backs of different cultures exchanging ideas and exchanging their food and their music. And it makes me really hopeful for the world, especially at a time that's really hard. I don't really keep up with the World Cup as much. Soccer is not really my thing, nor is really any sports. I do keep up with college football, but that's more so because I was in the college that mattered for football. But I think it's brought light to a lot of great parts about people and humanity, and again, cross-cultural communication that is needed at this time. I do want to finish up the interior of this convenience store, so I'm framing out the inside based off this reference image and giving some front stalls or shelves out of these mangrove roots, as they provide a lot of texture, especially looking through the window or looking across the bay. And I'll just add a little seating area in the back as opposed to a full shelf and checkout area, as this is Minecraft and this is more so for staging than functionality. Maybe later in the future I'll turn this into an actual shop, but the one thing I'm really sad about is this is a vanilla server, so we don't have Farmer's Delight. I think Farmer's Delight would make the perfect addition to this build, especially by adding a lot more foods that would be really nice to sell and share in a place like this. But we'll keep it as something simple and something to hang out at. And we'll add some more detail, I think, later on as I build out this world. I'm gonna remove this support pillar down here. It's looking quite ugly, and I left it up for a little bit too long. And I think that about rounds out the front. Let's see if I'm missing any details. I think all of the sides are looking really good and framed out with kind of what looks like to be in those images. I obviously don't have fire hydrants or trash cans I could use, but with sulfur coming along, I think we're getting a yellow wall. And I'm gonna redo the sign in front to actually say convenience, because I think that's one of the small details that's really missing from this. And I think it'll help the overall look of the store match the real one a lot more. But overall, I think that about wraps up the entirety of this build. And I'm really happy with how this has turned out. I think it matches the reference image quite well. Obviously, it could have used from some modded blocks, but there are a lot of blocks in vanilla that do a similar job. I will see you all in the next video, and I hope you all have an amazing day.